Hello, and welcome to Half the Year in Hell, the podcast for the ones who were made to carry what wasn't theirs. This is a place where we speak from the underworld and help you make your way on out.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for therapy. We are licensed therapists, but we are not your therapist. This podcast is for education and liberation, not diagnosis or treatment. Some episodes contain strong language and content related to trauma. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Half the Year in Hell. I'm Aunge.
I'm Sasha.
And this is our podcast about being the scapegoat.
So, welcome to the Scapegoat Get Out podcast. We wanted to start today by talking to you all about why we named the podcast Half the Year in Hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually comes from the myth of Persephone. And so Ange said I could talk about my special interest areas. So I'm going to read the myth of Persephone today. Persephone the Descent. She was never just a flower girl. She was the daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest, was born into light, a gift of spring, untouched, protected, watched. But innocence is a dangerous thing in a world ruled by power. One day she saw it, the narcissus flower, glowing from the earth like a secret, bright, fragrant, hypnotic. It didn't belong there, not really. It was bait, planted by the gods to distract her, to draw her in. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
As she reached for the flower, the ground cracked open. Hades rose from the underworld like a hunger too old to name, and he took her. No warning and no choice. Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Above, Demeter screamed. She searched every inch of the earth, refused to eat, refused to let anything grow. The world starved in her grief. The gods interfered. Deals were made. But unfortunately, even though they were trying to make a deal, Persephone had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds, bittersweet and binding, a tether. She ate the pomegranate seeds, and that means now she's stuck with Hades. So the deal was this: half the year above, half below, spring and shadow, growth and silence. But here's what the myths don't say. The narcissus flower, it wasn't just a trap. It was a mirror, a symbol of vanity, illusion, false beauty, a warning. And Persephone, she didn't stay the same. She didn't just survive the underworld. She learned its laws, its silence, its rage. She came back crowned in shadow, not a maiden, not a victim, a queen. She walks between worlds now, carries both the seed and the scythe. She is the reckoning. So I love these kind of myths, and I'll tell another one day. There's a African version of this myth, but I love that I noticed that so many of the myths have something about a descent and then coming back up as part of the wholeness. And it really helps me when I'm going through this scapegoat journey for me to be able to, one, see that it has a purpose, but also just see that like this isn't the last stop, because we can get so caught up in it. And it's nice to see that there's something of a cycle to it. And that's one of the things I appreciate about those kind of myths.
Yeah, the thing that I think in my like headcanon when it comes to Persephone is like, okay, she takes over the underworld and she's like, this is mine now. Y'all can't have it. And then eventually she's like, okay, I've like done this. I've like gained my confidence. I've learned the things that I need to learn. And now like, I'm going to leave this place behind. And I'm just going to go ahead and let y'all have it. And I'm going to stay up here with my mama and we're going to have a good time.
But it's the part to me is like also, yeah, she leaves it behind, but also like she keeps the lessons. She keeps the shadow.
So the thing that we were just talking about, and we might actually be musing out loud a little bit about the narcissus plant, is like the plant being a trap and her seeing it and like getting caught into it. And I think that it also speaks to like, this is kind of a weird thing, a weird segue, but How we all have our own like sense of narcissism that we all have to like work against.
Yeah. I think our ego can get set up on like just being a good person.
Uh-huh.
And like, I don't want to see that other people are doing this. And sometimes we don't because we don't know about the social games. But sometimes there's a place in it where we realize it and the people will be very obvious, but we are having a hard time. I'm thinking about clients sometimes coming in and they're really having a hard time seeing that person as a bad person, and they're also having such a hard time being angry. People do not want to be angry. And I think about myself, like being angry felt like, even though I was angry all the time, actually like owning my own anger, ooh, it felt so tiring and heavy because I wasn't used to doing it.
It's a foreign concept.
I was like, oh, this is too much work being angry.
You know, speaking from that perspective of like, what would happen for me is I would just get really irritated, and I would like have like these really kind of like extreme behaviors that are outside of my character. And I'd be like, oh, what just happened? And like when you kind of like come back into your body and you're coming down from the adrenaline of like that burst that you just had, it's just kind of like, ooh, I don't like the way that makes me feel. And that's part of the reason why like I think never latched on to causing harm to people. Not intentionally at least, right? Because like I don't like the way that I feel when I am like, ooh, let me get in here and be messy or whatever it is. And I wonder what. Anyway, I'm gonna go on a tangent.
No,
go ahead.
Go into it.
I wonder what happens within people's heads that are narcissistic, where they just like really latch in onto like causing people harm, and like they just don't think anything of it.
I don't know. I think that they're like so focused on themselves
that it doesn't occur to them.
I don't even think that they're thinking about it. I don't think they're trying to harm. I mean, unless you're talking about somebody with like antisocial traits or psychotic traits.
Sure.
I think most of the time they're not necessarily trying to harm. I think that they're trying to get what they want.
Regardless
it's
of
not
who's
that
in
they
their
don't
path.
know. Yeah, it's not that they don't know they're hurting you. They know what they're doing. But they're thinking about, how do I get what I want? Or how do I not do what I don't want to do?
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
I'm also thinking about like the gaslight that you're talking about. You know, how they will treat you a certain way, and then they kind of do act like they have no idea why you're mad or why you're leaving and why you're leaving them alone. Yeah. I've been thinking about that so much lately.
You know, that is the most confusing part, right? So they've caused you harm and you're reacting. And a lot of times when I react, it's not coming necessarily from the most intense place that I can come from. I try to be like reasonable and I try to be rational, even though I'm very angry and I could have a very different response to what's happening right now. And then what ends up happening when you call them out on their behavior is they kind of like turn into a victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, so you just slapped me in the face with a frozen fish and you don't know why I'm upset. And now you're crying. But I have a big, just like bruise on my face in the shape of a marlin. I don't know.
That was very specific.
I don't know. My brain is a weird place sometimes.
So I'm thinking about like, also when they are angry with you, I'm always so shocked, and I have to remind myself every time. You know, every time I stop kind of associating with somebody who is a narcissist,
or at the very least narcissistic or toxic or whatever the word you want to use.
Toxica. Mi toxica. I think about that and I'm like wondering how it is that they why they're getting angry and what they're getting angry about. I get stuck there. I have to remind myself each time and get caught up that they're actually angry about, not that they're angry because you're leaving so much. It's not really that they miss you. I know that they say that they miss you, but I don't even think that they actually know how to miss you because they're seeing you as an object. They don't actually see you as your full self. So I don't know how you can miss something. I guess you miss it as much as you miss a toy or something.
I mean, I miss my keys when I need to go somewhere.
Yeah. And so I think that like what they're upset about actually is they're angry that because they're entitled. and they feel entitled to you. And so they're mad that you left because they are feeling entitled to have your attention.
And they don't consider you being a human being with your own desires, your own needs, your own survival stuff that you got going on. Like you're literally just like a means to an end. And it's like this anger about like, well, this was supposed to go this way, and you were supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and because you haven't done X, Y, and Z, I've been abandoned. So I have every right to be angry, even though I slapped you in the face with a fish because you stopped talking to me.
Sometimes too, where it really gets to me is like not just when I'm slapped in the face with a marlin, but when they're withholding. That probably says some things about my psyche. But what really gets to me is when they're withholding. That's what really triggers me. It's like they think that you should be happy just because they're there. And this isn't just in romantic partnerships. This is also, I think, in social, like large social groups when this happens. And I think it's also in like friendships, and I've had it happen with family relationships. It's like, or jobs. I want you to stay here. I'm not going to meet your needs. I am absolutely not going to meet any need you have. I'm going to actually gaslight you and get angry with you for having any needs. If you ask me to meet them in any way, I'm going to be abusive to you because how dare you ask me to do something different than what I'm already doing. And then when you go ahead and go get what you need, and you go ahead and leave and accept that, hey, this person is never going to meet your needs, then they get so angry and they want to get abusive with you. And it's just like wild to me because they had no intention of doing anything different. But they feel, and the less they're meeting your needs, you're like getting completely fucked up. You're like just exhausted, you're burnt out, you're emotionally a mess, whatever it is, you know.
And then they're making fun of you for being tired or burned out.
Then they're making fun of you and bullying you for being tired and burned out. And then they don't want to be around you anymore because you've lost your luster, right? You've lost your shine. It's a toy that they've played with too much, or like a baby chick when a kid is squeezing it too hard, right? And then they're like, why are you leaving?
It's the imagery in this episode.
And it just gets to me every time. Every time I'm like, oh, I'm a terrible person. They said that they cared about me, or they loved me, or they valued me. They said I was really important. It even happens to me when I leave places. I'm like, oh, I needed to have stayed. I needed to have done that. But they're saying it. And what they really love is the power dynamic.
Well, also what you provide for them.
Yeah.
And what they can get out of you. No, I think about like the times where I've been like, okay, I'm going to set this boundary. I'm going to go ahead and let you know that like this isn't working for me. And then like you kind of like let it slide for a little bit, and you let it slide for a little bit, and you let it slide for a little bit. And then when you're like, okay, I told you about the boundary, goodbye. What do you mean you're leaving?
Yes.
The call's coming from inside the house.
Yes. They are always really surprised that you're leaving and outraged. And then they will be like, I mean, I'm thinking about, really, this is true about people. And I know it's going to sound like I'm dragging people, but I'm actually even thinking about jobs. They will be like, please come back. Y'all going to give me a raise? No, you're not about to give me a raise.
Also, here's more work.
And I think it's enraging. I think when I'm trying to get in touch with my anger, that's really a place where I get really angry. And I think as a person who is being culturally outcast right now by this country, I'm thinking about like, you know, the plausible deniability that certain groups are trying to have over this thing. They're like trying to have plausible deniability. So if you're like, hey, I'm actually really uncomfortable, and I think you actually don't want me or my kind here. You actually don't want to interact with me or my kind. You've enacted policies that's letting me know me and my kind are not okay. You've erased my holidays. Juneteenth. You don't want to have Juneteenth. I'm sorry, have I said too much? Like you've done all this stuff, and then you're upset because I'm like, hey, I think you hate me. And this happens in personal relationships too. I think actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave because you actually hate me, or I'm going to go ahead and not bother you anymore. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to be over here in my room. Then they're like, what do you mean? We love you. We want you to be here. Everything's fine. And it's like, no, it's not fine. And also, like, when you're sitting here and denying my humanity, I know I'm on one right now.
No, let's do
when
it.
you're sitting here and denying my humanity, and you're telling me, that you don't believe that I've suffered, and you're actually denying all the harm that you've done to me and my ancestors over so much time. Again, this happens in interpersonal relationships as well. You're denying everything that you've ever done. Then when I'm like, I'm about to bounce, I'm about to dip, or hey, we're gonna make it do our own little thing over here. I was about to go into another tangent about this, but I'm not.
Stay with be Christian.
Yeah. You're mad because I want to leave, and you're mad because I'm saying, hey, you've denied all of the things that you've done to me. So now the conclusion that I've reached is, I'm over here suffering. I have a broken leg. You're thriving.
There's a fish print on my face.
Right. I had a big old marlin print on my face. And I'm like, I'm actually not okay. I need to go to the emergency room, and it's hard for me to work right now, and I can't afford to buy a house.
Take a shower and take a nap and see how you feel in the morning.
Right. You're like, hey, none of that happened. I didn't do that. So, okay, so now you're telling me that you have no respect for me and the work that I've done, even though I've been over here working twice as hard as you have, men.
For my own wounding, which is another conversation altogether.
Yeah, what's my crazy that I'm keeping on doing this? And now you're upset because I'm like, hey, I guess I'm just a terrible person. I'm just going to go ahead and leave and dip out of this system. No, you feel entitled for me to stay. And I think this is the thing about the Persephone myth, is that where it was a little bit narcissistic, and this is something I had to come to realize about myself, like what was a little bit narcissistic was that, she was trying to be naive, and she was trying not to have any shadow, and she was trying to stay sweet. And that's fine. It's really good to be a kind person, but also, like, we have to make sure that we are not being entitled to that in a world that is narcissistic and based on power dynamics. Like, I think that, like, as a person of color, I'm gonna go ahead and call it out. As a Black person, I'm talking about how I was really raised by my community to be extremely docile, because it wasn't really safe for us to be angry, right? Like, especially when you live in the South, it's not safe to be angry. And I think that, like, as a person assigned female at birth, I'm supposed to be docile. I'm not, but I think I was supposed to be docile. And I think that, like,
that Aries moon.
I think that for a while, one of the things that made it really hard for me to leave a lot of systems is I would be like, and clients do this, they'll be like, but what if it was me? It's like, I feel entitled for me not to have to be mean and mad. And it's really hard. But I think I have to, like, get to the place where I'm like, okay, it's actually, it's my responsibility to go ahead and take care of myself and go ahead and go, now that I know this. And I'm not saying this to blame the victim.
No.
But I do think there is a place in it where you can take a wrong turn.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Like, you do come to a place where you're like, okay, I know exactly what's happening to me. I have the resources. I'm actually probably going to be behaving in a way that's narcissistic if I stay here and go ahead and bottom out and wallow in this.
Yep. It's the resilience, right? We talked about it, I think, in the first time we recorded, like that resilience and that ability to bounce back. Like, that's how you get yourself out of the systems. And the problem is they're like chipping away at you. They have like a chisel, and they're just like taking little bits out, like little by little. And eventually you're going to be so full of holes that you're not going to be able to get yourself back up. But if you can, like, kind of like slap a band-aid on that hole and be like, okay, I'm going to take care of my feelings and take care of myself, and like allow my anger to set the boundaries, then like I can kind of like regenerate this piece and like come out as whole as I can, as whole as possible.
Uh-huh.
Not, I just use whole twice in a different, it doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
Go
That's
ahead.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about this question that was asked
Mhm.
to me by Zamir.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking about how it was asked kind of on the behalf of the collective.
Mhm.
As
Also, hold on a second. Shout out to Zamir. Go ahead.
I was about to say also shout out to Michael from Tarot by Lynn for the collective.
Okay, talk about the scapegoat role and getting out of it.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh-huh. And so I'm thinking about how they asked, what about false scapegoats?
Mm.
And how that's also another thing that's coming up right now when we're talking about the dynamics, right? It's happened in my life, certainly. Woo, it's happened in my life,
Mhm.
but also how it's happened in the dynamics that are happening right now.
Let's talk about co-opting someone else's experience and
Uh-huh.
co-opting their trauma, and let's talk about how I'm stealing your trauma in order for me to be victimized.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got.
Uh-huh. I'm thinking about how I said last time that being marginalized, maybe it was a few episodes ago anyway,
Mhm.
I said being marginalized is not a automatic guarantee that you're a scapegoat,
No.
because you can engage in abusive behaviors as a marginalized person.
Power dynamics, yeah.
And you know, I think what I'm hearing actually right now as we're talking about it that's coming out
Mhm.
is just like narcissism is a choice, it's also like kind of a choice for scapegoats to decide to
Engage or not
engage
engage.
in borderline patterns. I'm not going to say being a borderline is a choice, but I am saying that there is a place in this
Mhm.
when we can, because I don't do the DSM, you know that.
Mhm.
So I'm not talking about BPD diagnosis. I'm talking about the patterns.
Mhm.
That there's a place when you are engaging with a system that's narcissistic or a person that's narcissistic,
Mhm.
and you have a choice and you know you're emotionally dysregulated by interacting with this person or system.
Mhm.
You know that you are being zapped of your powers and you have no energy.
Mhm.
You know that this is like a energy vampire, and you're like, you know, I'm gonna just continue to stay in this. And
Mhm.
sometimes there are people, sometimes, you know, it takes people a long time to leave, but I do think that there's often times when I have worked with people where they're just like, I'm gonna hop out
Mhm.
because I would just feel most safe, you know, being in this borderline pattern.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna go on and hop out, and I'm just gonna keep on doing this.
Hop out of therapy.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's always really disconcerting, and it's always really hard to watch. But also, like, people have autonomy and they have the choices that they want to make, and sometimes that fear of abandonment is so strong that like it's just it overpowers that kind of like self-preservation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that they've had, I think sometimes when that happens, that they've had so little access to the self
Mhm.
that they don't even know what you're trying to tell them
Yeah.
to go to, because they've never experienced it, because they've been so strongly abused in a narcissistic system
Uh-huh.
that it's really hard. And sometimes this is when I think about like, I feel like Harriet Tubman with the gun.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'm like, you got to go.
Uh-huh.
And if you're not going to go, then I got to keep going.
Uh-huh. I have to leave you behind.
So we'll have to talk in the future about leaving people behind. We'll definitely have to talk about that in the future on a future podcast.
You know, I think for me it's like one or two things, right? Like one thing, speaking of narcissism.
I don't know if y'all can hear that very loud motor that was over there.
Uh-huh.
Histrionic.
Histrionic.
Cars can be histrionic too. They got to be driven by somebody.
Mhm. What was I saying? I just lost my train of
Yeah,
thought.
I'm sure you did. That was attention seeking behavior, right?
Ah. Oh, I think that like I can see the point of view where it's like, okay, I'm aware of this and I'm trying to get out. I can also see the point of view where you've just been in so many narcissistic systems that you actually don't have the awareness.
Yeah.
And like you don't know like what's happening, and like you're like all my life is like chaos all the time, and this is how people interact with me, so this must be how it
All my
is.
life I had to fight.
And it's one of those things where it's just kind of like how do we get more people to have awareness about what's happening in their environment, because you and I are both very spicy people, Like,
Sure.
we're people that are like, "No, I don't really wanna do that," or, "No, I don't like that," or like, "What do you mean by that?" And I think that there are people that don't have that temperament.
Sure.
And, like, what does it look like for, like, people to, like, not have that, like, sense of self-confidence or that sense of, like, "I need to go."
Well, when I'm thinking about it from a clinical perspective,
Mhm.
one of the things that I've learned to do is get people in their body.
Uh-huh.
Because if you can get people to get in their body, the body has a way of knowing.
Mhm.
And I definitely believe that a result of patriarchy
Mhm.
is that we think here, right? I'm thinking about this work, this book, The Master and His Emissary,
Mhm.
and it's talking about like this is the master, right? And then this is the emissary. That's why I'm so into the mind body stuff,
Mhm.
because I think that it's not that I think that how you feel, right? Even though I am INFJ, it's not that I think that how you feel is everything.
Mhm.
I think that y- your feelings give you a place you start with. This is how I feel,
Mhm.
and now let me slow down and listen to how I feel, and think that my body doesn't lie to me, and think that if my body isn't lying to me and I actually can trust my bodily awareness,
Mhm.
then I can be curious about what's making me upset. And
Mhm.
when you can have people practice that over and over again, for me, it feels like sometimes that's a way that can reroute all the cognitive distortions that have been placed by being in a system.
Mhm.
Mhm. At least that's what happened for me.
No, I think being aware of your body and being in tune with your body is the most important part because your body will give you cues of like something feels off here. It's kind of like when you're watching a horror movie and you're listening to the soundtrack, and the soundtrack starts getting really loud and scary,
Uh huh.
and like you can feel your heart race, you can feel your stomach churn, you can feel like all these different things happening. And like if you're disconnected from that part of yourself, like you're gonna miss all these cues that are telling you, hey, this is not okay.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
But the problem is whenever you're in this narcissistic system, a lot of times they beat you down so much that like you don't even know what your like awareness is. Like there's no connection to your body because they want you to be disconnected from your body to be able to continue to be abusive.
Well, and what you're saying makes so much sense, because also the other problem is when people have experienced trauma.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about this. This is one of the reasons why I don't try to do too much breath work in session, because I know that there are some people who do somatics and they'll just like sit there and breathe and you don't get a chance to process.
Sure.
But I do try to get people to drop down in their body in the session. And the reason why is because I think that when people have had so much trauma, sometimes it's not safe. I know that there were a lot of times for me that it wasn't safe for me to be in my body.
Mhm.
And I think that, especially like epigenetically, we've had to depart from our bodies. Like, we are the children of the people who could fly, right? And so it's great that we can leave our body,
Mhm.
but we have to learn how to train
Return.
that and return to it when we
Yeah.
need to. Hmm.
No, I think about being a kid and I think about just kind of like dissociating. Excuse me. I think about dissociating in my environment. They tried to get me. They tried to get
Hmm.
my throat.
Hmm.
And I think about like I'm leaving myself and going so far in my imagination that a lot of times I'm just kind of walking around like a zombie and like reacting to my environment, kind of like I guess like an amoeba or like those one-celled organisms where it's
Yeah.
just like there's no thought going on
Yeah.
because having thoughts is dangerous because someone's about to come for me if I have a thought or
Hmm.
someone's about to shut me down or whatever other form of abuse that comes with that.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things where the only thing that has allowed me to fully like re-enter my body is actually weightlifting.
Yes. Being in the gym.
And I don't know
Hmm.
if it's the earth signness of it all or
Yeah.
it's just like I
It's
have to feel
grounding.
grounded. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now that I had that experience of being able to do it in the gym, I can actually do it in other circumstances because I remember what that feeling is like to be back in here. And
Hmm.
like being back in here is not as scary anymore because people are not trying to make it scary.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how when I was in my counseling program, I had this professor who taught testing.
Hmm.
And the thing is, even though it was evaluation and testing, the book that she made us read was The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it talks about all this. And she was like, I just think this is one of the most important books you could read.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what is she talking about? This is wacky.
Mhm.
But I did read it, and it is really
Mhm.
an important book for that reason, because we have to get online and we have to tune into ourselves.
Mhm.
Because I think one of the things we should probably talk about too in the future is trauma bonding, because that brain addiction to the person is actually happening.
Mhm.
And so I think we have to talk about that too
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
in future episodes.
Also wanted to say something. It's kind of like a unconscious becoming conscious thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're watching this and you're zoning in and out of the content and you're like, I can kind of pay attention to this, but like it's kind of like backing me out unless we're just really boring. If that's
Yeah,
the
so I was about
case,
to
then
say
like
maybe we're boring. I don't think so.
but like if you're like usually entertained by us as people and you're like, ugh, and like you're kind of like hopping in and out, what's probably happening to you is it's validating some part of your reality. And when you're not allowed to align with yourself, you kind of have to like literally block out the content or you have to block out what people are saying. And that's something that happens in therapy too, right? Like when I'm bringing up something that you're experiencing and you're like, is that, I know that that's true, but like, I can't really, is that true? I don't know if that actually happened. And
Uh-huh.
like people start to do this thing where they panic. And the panic is because you're having someone trying to get you to align with yourself and it's not really been safe for you to align with yourself. So
Uh-huh.
that's normal. If you're zoning in and out, that's okay. Sometimes I watch episodes of stuff over and over and over again until I can like hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's normal for you to have to hear the same thing
Mm-hmm.
over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Mm-hmm.
you think, is there anything else you want to say about it? Feels like this is a good stopping point.
I think it is a good stopping point.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
30 minutes.
Thank you.
Bye.